All right, everybody. All right, everybody. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. I hope you guys are having a beautiful and great day. Welcome back to Rant Wednesday. And you're like, where you been, Uncle Gary? We're going to try to keep this at least consistent every other Wednesday for now, because sometimes trying to do this every Wednesday can be quite exhausting. That's not the excuse. I just don't want to be lackluster. I just don't want to be up here not in it. If I'm not in it, then I don't want to do it. Ain't no sense. Like, there's people that drop content every day, and it's like you're just doing it to doing it instead of putting your heart in it. When I make these rants, I put my heart in it, my soul, my time, my passion. There's times you can see me sweating. There's times you can see me flustered. There's times you can see me out, just blacked out, talking mess. So welcome back. Thank you for having me in your break room, your living room, your bathroom, or your main room, wherever room you're in, your boiler room, or whatever you're doing. I appreciate you. You don't have to watch, but you do. And if you want to support the channel, go to bootyhustlers.com to get all your quality merchandise, and go to TriSpeed USA to get all your quality car needs met. And with that being said, it's been a busy week. It's been a very busy week. First of all, shout out to Killer Mike. That dude is an awesome dude. He won 3 Grammys. He swept. Congratulations, sir. You deserve that. And everybody asking, well, why did Travis Scott not win? He didn't. That's just how the world works. If you're going to cry about everything, then don't be in it. Think about it. Killer Mike's 48 years old. He's been doing this a lot longer than Travis Scott. So this is well overdue. So to you, sir, I give my crown to you. My last name's King. Not that that matters, but just know we was out here supporting you. When I saw you win, I was like, yeah. Text my homie Ron Ball. I was like, he did it. Y'all did it. Little known fact, his car used to be at TSS, and I'd see it every day. And I had the keys to his car by accident. So thank you, Ron Ball, for hitting me up, because I thought they were the keys to my truck. I don't know how I got them, but you got them. And he drove the car. So technically, we won a Grammy too. Hey! Now, there's one person that's left on this list this week that we need to speak about. Vincent Kennedy McMahon has to be the most diabolical person ever. Every training video you've ever watched in your life about quid pro quo, about harassment, about everything in the workforce that you thought would never exist outside of a training video is this man. He is Black Air Force energy. He is, where's my hug at? He is, oh, so you're going to do me like that. But the difference between him and the mustard dude at your job is he's got financial assets and backing that will make you want to do what he asks you to do. What I'm saying is, when you have a level of money, there's certain things you can't buy that people have. And what those people want is your pride, your time, or your energy. And that's one thing, because at the end of the day, cars, all this is physical. Once you give up your pride, you can't buy that back. There's a certain sense of humiliation in the world that you can never redeem, because that is a mental thing that you can never ever overcome. There's years of therapy, years of abuse, years of questioning what you've done. And Vincent Kennedy McMahon has done that. If you don't know what he done, I'll sum it up. Vincent Kennedy McMahon was in a relationship with a woman that he saw was in need, was in a financial situation. I believe something happened with her parents, and he saw her in her apartment building, chopped it up on some smooth OG type stuff, and got what he needed. He got her as his liaison, I will say. And what this man proceeded to do to this woman for the last couple years has blown my mind. Not only showering her with gifts and flowers, candies, cars, offering a job, and you could imagine all those trinkets and assets don't come with a, how can I say, monetary female stimulation. What I'm saying is, he was giving her stuff so he could get her stuff. But the diabolical part is, he would make her do things with his homies, with his business partners, with his people he's trying to make money with. And you could imagine the mental anguish that that young lady had to go through to do these things. Now, what I'm saying is, I'm not saying that I'm taking a side. I'm not saying, oh, this, that, and the other. When the facts are all laid out at the end of the day, there's a case being built up against Vince McMahon, and there's proof and messages. They have his phone from 2022, text message. So when they release all this stuff, it's going to hit the fan. And the icing on the cake, which blew my mind, and it's on record, it is on record that this young man, Vince McMahon, because he's young in a sense, I don't believe you old till you're dead. This gentleman went and defecated on this young lady's head while having intercourse with another person. So to explain what I'm trying to say is he was having a threesome. If people don't know what a threesome is, it's you and two other people.
Vince McMahon and Booker T screw Stone Cold. Vince.
Well, we're going to get into the logistics of this. This man, during a threesome, defecated on this young lady's head, which caused her to roll down her shoulder and run down her back.
What?
If people don't know what defecation is, he pooped on her head during intercourse. He pooped on her head during having sexual activities. I couldn't imagine. I could not fathom doing something and then seeing an old man take a squat on the person's head, and then mind you, they kept going. That's the worst part. So it's, bro.
I sat there and I thought about it.
Bro, pooped on a young lady's head during intercourse with another person. And you're wondering, Gary, how did all this come out? How did all this hit the fan? It was simple. Miss McMahon, Linda McMahon, found out that Vincent Kennedy McMahon was, doing little side missions. And it was more or less like she told him, like, hey, buddy, you got to cut this out, bro. And she probably is like, I understand. Let me break it down to y'all. There's a certain level of rich that you achieve where you can have anything. Imagine having any girl, any car, any house, anything. But the one thing you need is pride. And that's what he took from her. And the way Miss McMahon found out, she found out that he was doing what he was doing. Told him, hey, buddy, you got to cut it out. And he was more or less like, hey, I got to fire you. You can't work here no more. But here's this piece of paper. Here's an NDA, disclosure, like non-disclosure agreement, pretty much. I believe that's what NDA stands for. And it's pretty much like, hey, girl, like, sign this, and it's pretty much saying you won't talk about whatever we did whenever we did it, and I'll in exchange make sure I take care of you financially. And I believe he was giving her like a couple million a year or something like that. Don't quote me on those facts, but I know he was giving her money. It was exchange like, you can't work here no more, but I'll take care of you as long as you never tell anybody what we did. And I guess she was cool with that. This is just to my understanding. And then he was more or less like, you know what, as Vince McMahon does, I'm not going to pay you no more, because what you going to do about it? What you gonna do about it? And as sure as the grass is green, she was like, all right, bet. I'm taking your big freaky ass to court, bucko. And that's sure enough what she's doing. So now her and 4 other women are gonna find out the test of time of the case versus big freaky Black Air Force Energy Vince McMahon versus young lady. Now some people will be like, well, she was a part of these acts, she knew what she was getting herself into. But then the other side is like, bruh, like, that's not right. You took advantage of a lady. But at the same time, they're adults. People, I'm not saying what he did was right. I'm not saying what she did was wrong. But there has to be a certain level of standard where we going to find out. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. Imagine if he was pooping on this young lady's head during intercourse with another person. What other type of Black Air Force energy activities he was doing? What kind of Black Air Force energy activities he was doing? I don't even want to think about it, people. I don't even want to think about it. We are going to watch as the case unfolds. And you may be asking yourself, Uncle Gary, what would you do? Let me ask the audience. Before we end this rant, let me ask the audience, how much would it cost for a person to take an upper decker on your head? And people who don't know what an upper decker is, I believe that's when you poop in the top of the toilet bowl. Like, not like the bowl itself, but you know that thing where you take you take the lid of the toilet off and you poop in there. That's what an upper decker is. And I'll call it upper decker on her because, he didn't poop on her. He pooped on top of her head. So like I said, my question to y'all is, how much money would it take for a gentleman and or female, you get a choice, to poop on your head? And with that being said, we're almost at 40,000 subscribers, people. I appreciate everybody who's watched. This has been a long journey. I really didn't think this Rant Wednesday thing would go anywhere, and I appreciate y'all listening. I appreciate y'all tuning in. And whatever y'all want to hear about, remember, the only thing I kind of don't talk about is like race, politics, and religion. That's what my grandma taught me growing up. Those are the three things you never really bring up around business people or just in general and all. You don't bring up like those type of things at the child line. She told me, she's like, all that you can have as many opinions as you want. My grandma raised me and says, my grandma raised me in a sense, it was like, you can have whatever opinion you want, but as long as you keep race, religion, and politics to yourself, you'll be okay. Because I done seen people throw hands over god dang politics. And I'm sitting here like, bruh, as long as they don't touch my skylines, I'm good. And for the last 10 years, I've had skylines and nobody touched them, so I really don't care about politics. Religion, grew up in a Christian household, with my grandma, obviously. That's a given, God is good all the time. God is good, stuff like that. And then sex, I kind of stay out that. Whatever you want to do, as long as you're not touching kids or the elderly. And the reason I say the elderly is because I have a soft spot for old people since I grew up with my grandma and I had to take care of her in her final days. So I always thought about it as a sense of like, when you're a child, you're naive, you don't know anything. And old people, as they get older, they turn back into a child where they need us for assistance. They need us to feed them. They need us to wash them. We need them to wipe them. In a sense, they go back into a childlike manner. And my grandmother was unfortunately taken advantage of financially, and I was too young to do anything about it because I didn't know anything because I was a teenager. So I always have a soft spot for old people and children. So as long as you don't touch them too, there's like a gray area for everything else, but leave fucking kids alone and don't touch old people. I'm getting emotional thinking about it. But other than that, see you next Wednesday. If you got any topics, let's talk about them.